For nearly 40 years, former Illinois House Speaker and state Democratic Party Chairman Michael Madigan was at the epicenter of politics in Chicago and Illinois. Now, he's at the epicenter of a corruption investigation and a 22-count indictment. The news has Springfield reeling. Some are quietly protective of Madigan. For others, there's a sense of vindication. Amanda Vinicky joins us now to begin tonight's ongoing Madigan coverage. Amanda.
Yes, Brandis, there's a whole lot of thoughts given this bombshell news. It wants a sense of disbelief that the once mighty Madigan is now facing federal charges, even as there's also been widespread recognition since really July of 2020 when ComEd admitted to a years-long bribery scheme intended to influence Madigan, that he's been in the feds' crosshairs. The cracks, however, in Madigan's operation surfaced earlier in 2018 when one of Madigan's political workers, Elena Hampton, went public with accusations that Madigan and his Democratic Party mishandled her accusations of sexual harassment against another political aide who was very well connected.
I think my lawsuit actually maybe would have been the first time that him and his team were caught off guard, didn't know how to handle the situation, and perhaps didn't know how to handle the level of evidence that was brought forward in paper form, in writing.
A settlement in that case was reached in late 2019. Now, Hampton says that she knew Madigan. She worked with him in the 13th Ward offices, that it was all business all the time. She says, though, Madigan was polite. He'd offered to get her a cup of coffee. But also, she says she witnessed a lot of unethical behavior within the operation, like an unwritten rule that government employees had to do political work for free. When she went public with her sexual harassment claims, she says it was difficult. Former colleagues refused to talk to her, and some still won't.
I think at first they were afraid, and I understand that fear because I worked in the organization and I understand the fear mongering that took place. But when I was, the person seeking justice, it was really hard to be that isolated and to not be supported by Democratic elected officials who, the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the people.
She says there has since been a shift. For example, she's currently working for Cook County Assessor Fritz Kage's campaign. Now, Hampton says that she believes her case opened the door for others, for sitting legislators to speak out against Madigan, such as the 19 House Democrats who in January of last year sunk Madigan's bid for another term as House Speaker by refusing to vote for him.
This was not easy for any of us. But at the end of the day, I know that I can look my daughters in the face and tell them doing what's right isn't always easy, but doing what's right is what we are required to do.
State Representative Tara Costa Howard was the first in July of 2020 to publicly distance herself from Madigan while being a member of the Illinois House, calling on him to step down in light of the ComEd scandal. She says that word of Madigan's indictment yesterday was emotional for her.
It was like having to relive that trauma. And I do call it trauma because it was very, very difficult. You did not know what was going to happen, right? You didn't know if you were being followed, if there were people watching you.
If fear being followed may sound perhaps to some as sensationalistic or paranoid, but Costa Howard says it has happened on the campaign trail, albeit in that case, not necessarily related to any sort of anti-Madigan stance.
All I knew was that I was potentially, by coming out this way, exposing things that many people don't want exposed. When the most powerful man here in the state of Illinois, when you're speaking out against him in such a way, you should be concerned.
Costa Howard says there were the possibility of other forms of ramification too, like her bills getting bottled up or pushback from other powerful interests loyal to the then speaker. Now, though Madigan is no longer in power, some relationships, she says, are still strained because of this situation. It is similar for State Representative Stephanie Kifowit, who was the first to challenge Madigan for the speakership.
To give representatives a choice, him or me, because there'd never been a choice before. And it was very stressful considering who Mike Madigan was.
Kifowit, too, recalls being legitimately scared when she went up against Madigan. She says it was stressful. She says at the time, some legislators refused to return her calls. And again, some still won't. They viewed the challenge, she says, to Madigan as disloyal and selfish. Now, just imagine, says State Representative Kelly Cassidy, who is also part of the 19 who opposed Madigan, what it would have been like if their efforts to dethrone him had not been a success.
And what this day would look like if he were still speaker. The chaos that our work would have been plunged into, the complete lack of any forward motion on any of the issues that we're working on here.
Now, each of those three legislators say that Illinois is changing with Madigan no longer the speaker, pointing to the House having its first Black speaker, Emmanuel Chris Welch. Welch, by the way, not among those who worked to oust Madigan from the speakership and had heretofore really more praised Madigan's leadership. Now, certainly not everyone shares the attitude toward Madigan as the women featured in this piece. I spoke with one of Madigan's former top deputies, that was former House Majority Leader Barbara Flynn Curry, who said that if the allegations in the indictment are true, there is a price to be paid, but she says the Madigan she knows is a man of integrity. Now, Madigan likewise is adamant that he did not break the law, and in a statement yesterday says that he is proud of his long record of public service. And while many may not say it openly, clearly House Democrats voted for Madigan for that position time and time again, and many Democrats credit him with leading their party to the supermajorities that they now hold and to fending off efforts, including anti-labor measures that were attempted by former Governor Bruce Rauner. With that, Brandis, back to you.